Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-producer Mark Ronich of jbiztechvalley.com and also statewide news. We have a very, very special guest with us, Mr. Shawn Morse. He's the chairman of the Albany County Legislature.
Yes.
So very happy Shalom. We give you a shalom in Hebrew. I know you're not Jewish, but teach a little Hebrew while we're here on the Jewish View.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I really enjoy being here.
Now, Shawn, you're from Cohoes.
I am, born and raised.
And you're a firefighter in Cohoes.
I am. Been a fireman for 24 years.
Okay. Well, do they say fireman or?
It's firefighter because we have women firefighters as well. So
right. So it's the generic now, right?
It's the generic.
And then we have, and you were in the county legislature for what, 2 terms before you were elevated?
I ran in the special election in 2004.
To replace whom?
Well, it was a Jackie DeChiro was in the seat. She's a principal in our school. A wonderful woman, does a great job in our schools.
Yeah. So she left, and then you ran in the special, or was it had to?
Well, I actually ran against her.
Oh, you ran against her?
I did.
Oh,
yes, I ran against her in the special election. I ran actually as an independent.
Oh.
And in the city of Cohoes, when you were born, they stamped you with Democrat only.
That's right.
And I am a Democrat, and I believe in the Democratic principles. But in order for me to run, I had no line to run on, so I ran on the independent line. And historically, it was the first one ever to win a seat that wasn't a Democrat in the city.
Now, independence or independent?
The Independence Party.
Independence Party line you won on.
I had the Independence Party line, and I had the Working Families line, and the Conservative line. And so my chances of winning, were slim to none. But
you did it.
Slim showed up, and we worked hard, and people believed in our message, and we won.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about
how
the beginning happened for you. Did you did you always want to run for office? Because you took a shot, you didn't like her, or you just decided
truthfully, I love her, and I love the family. I've been friends with the family a long time ago. I just have this belief that it's not about friendship when it comes to representing people. It's about taking care of the people.
Yeah.
And I actually got involved because I've been an advocate at one of the senior centers in Cohoes for many years, especially as a firefighter. You're there a lot. People get sick and they're older, so you're called out a lot. And it was under their encouragement that I run. And, I used to laugh about it when I was there helping them do certain things. And then one day, I showed up and they had a whole group of people, and they threw a little fundraiser for me and said, "You're going to run. We want you to run." And so I took them up on the offer.
All of a sudden it got in your blood. You didn't really you didn't campaign for other people. You didn't do fundraisers for other people. You just were doing your thing as a firefighter and helping out wherever you could in the community, and you were just plucked out. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, I've always been a strong advocate for people. Look, I was born and raised in a poor family. I know the struggles that most of us face, and I was always helping people, just in a different capacity. I was just helping them as an advocate, as a friend.
As a resident.
As
a neighbor.
As a neighbor.
I think that's the true idea of American representation. And a lot of times you have politicians, they go to law school, and I'll be a politician. And here it's just, really, I think that's what the real American system was always supposed to be. Someone from the area, and, one of your own, and someone who could stand up and represent the people and just come up, not like saying, I want to be a professional.
Right.
That's what I want to do for a living, is to be a politician. So I think it's beautiful.
And truthfully, I just, growing up, I wanted to be in a position where I could find a way to help people. And I thought, I had family in the fire department. I couldn't think of a better job. It's the greatest job in the world. You're there helping people in the worst of times, and sometimes in the best of the times. You see.
Can I ask you about fire department? I don't really meet too many Jewish firemen. I don't know why, but in any case, it's a dangerous job in general. It's just, you see these guys with go into the fire sometimes. I don't know how many fires really come up per day.
Yeah, and taking off on that, I was also going to ask you about if you could relate a story to us about a time when your life might have been in jeopardy, that something might have been dangerous that you thought.
I think, the job is inherently dangerous because you're obviously running into situations where most people would be running out of. And, it's just one of those jobs where people's lives sometimes are in danger, and they depend on you to help them. And I've been blessed. I was lucky enough to save a lady who was trapped in one of the fires in Cohoes, and that was probably one of the best moments of my life. And I've seen the other side of some really tragic things. You know, you don't think of danger. You kind of just do the job, just like, you know, the great heroes that we have, our soldiers. We go out there and we do the job, our police departments. And I've been honored. I've been blessed, and I'm privileged to be a firefighter. And again, I don't think there's a greater job in the world. And you know, I'm glad that that's the career I've taken.
Well, that's something you have in common with our county executive, who used to be in your position.
Yes.
Dan McCoy. He's a firefighter as well in the city of Albany.
Yeah, Danny was a firefighter at the airport,
Right.
And then he went to the city of Albany, and then you know, obviously he chose to leave that career and go to where he is now. And I guess it's almost like being a firefighter. You're constantly
Putting out fires.
putting out fires. It's been an interesting.
But when he was in the county legislature and you were in the county legislature, there was a different, and you were both rank and file members. You know, you were both firefighters.
Absolutely.
You know, did you have that bond? Did you become stronger friends knowing that you were?
Yeah,
how was the relationship?
I think when you're in a business that only those who are in it can really relate to the things that you do. You have a bond, and you know, in our profession, I can go anywhere in the world where there's firefighters and knock on the door and say, I need your help, and they'll call me brother. Hey, brother, how are you? And help me out. So there's always been a strong bond amongst firefighters. And so me and Danny, you know, obviously had that bond because of the business. We've been friends for a long time, and it made it interesting to see two firefighters down into the county legislature. But, you know, it was, I'm glad that it all panned out the way it did, and I'm glad that I had an opportunity to be a firefighter. And
now, how many years are you in as firefighter?
I went in 1989, so I've been there quite a while.
And you're how old now?
I'm 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
May you have another many more years as a in a safe position as a firefighter.
And do people have to retire? I mean, you know, the lugging around these heavy hoses. I mean, you think that? I mean, it gets too old or something.
Well, look, there's no doubt it's a young man's job. I still like to think I'm semi-young man.
Well, you're 24 years in.
Yeah.
I just did the math quickly.
Yeah, it's 24. I've been there 24 years. And I'm going to stay for a few more years. And
then run for county executive? Or
no, geez, my God. That's like a fire in itself, I think, Mark. You know what? Look, I believe that all citizens need to be involved in what takes place in our communities, right? I think you know me for a long time. I'm not in the county government or any form of government because I want to be friends with all the political people. I'm in there because people wanted me to bring their voice, right? And so I am very outspoken. I've never been afraid to share what I think is important on behalf of the residents of my city.
And you like other people who are outspoken, don't you?
And I do. I think that everybody in our country should not be afraid to question authority. I think that's something that's lacking. I think sometimes people in government kind of get all too close, and then, you know, decisions are being weighed on. Am I going to make somebody mad in my caucus? Am I going to make somebody? I've never had that thought. My thought has always been, what's best for the people? I'm going to fight for what I believe. You know, I got a backpack of 17,000 people who are dependent on me to bring their voice. So, as you know, I'm pretty outspoken. I'm not going to change that. I think that's what makes me a good advocate, and always has made me a good advocate.
Now, the chairman of the county legislature traditionally has been a soft-spoken gentleman from the hill towns, or, you know, someone who wasn't very aggressive, or, you know, they were just mild-mannered and just went along, sat up there on the rostrum and didn't do much. And you're changing that because you've had some issues that have come up in the county legislature, and it seems like you're taking more of the front, more of a headline type of position.
Well, you know, I think that you have an obligation. If you're put in a position where you can make change, you need to make change, or you need to, you know, fight for what is the right thing.
How does someone become chairman of the legislature? Are you appointed
You're actually voted by your peers in the government. So I'm elected by the Democrats and the Republicans, should they choose to support me.
But they put up someone else to try to be chairman, or
Yeah,
do
well,
you have friends on the Republican side?
When I ran, the Republicans put up one of their own candidates.
Yeah.
But I think I'm quite blessed to have a Democratic majority that has supported me, and I think I've worked very hard to move their agenda forward.
Do you think that, and one of your fellow county legislators from Cohoes also is Gil Ethier?
Yes.
And he's there, what, 35 years?
Gil's the mayor of the county legislature. He's been there for forever.
Shouldn't there be just someone pushing him a little to say, hey, look, it's long enough. Someone else should be there. I don't mean term limits, but, have a reality check. I mean, the guy doesn't use computers. The guy doesn't know, he's back, in the olden days when they used abacus, Isn't there something you could do to help him, see the way out?
I have known Gil Ethier since I've been a little boy.
I'm sure you did.
And I have had the wonderful opportunity to learn a lot of things from Gil. And I think as long as Gil is effective as an advocate, which I believe he is.
But can you be effective 35 years?
Well, he's
day in and day out? I mean, can you why not give someone a new voice, a fresh voice, a younger voice?
Well, you'd have to talk to Gil about that.
No, I'm asking, just conceptually, is there, aside from the individual point, conceptually, is there a time, aside, that where you feel someone should have self-imposed term limits of maybe 3 terms or 4 terms? I mean, this guy's been there for 8 terms,
I think, again, with age comes some knowledge that you see out of Gil that you may not see from a young kid coming in who's only in his 20s.
So there's an institutional memory there, which is valuable.
I think he's got a lot of experience. I think he's a great legislator.
He's probably forgotten more than you and I remember.
I think he probably has, and sometimes I lean on him to learn things, but I don't believe age should be a deterrent to stop doing anything, as long as you're capable and you can make a difference and you can bring something to the table, whether you're 23 or 103. I think you can be effective, and I think Gil's proven that time and time again.
And are there other Independence Party people from Cohoes that have since run on that party and not the Democratic line and won?
No, no, and I went back to being a Democrat.
Sure.
Certainly, in any form of government, if you can't get into the room where everybody is to try to make a difference, you're not being effective. So as an independent, I got there because it was the only way for me to get there. But when I got there, I realized certainly I can't get into the Democratic caucus. I can't get in any caucus. How am I going to, be effective? So I went back to where I always belonged, which was a Democrat, and it's been successful. I think I've been successful.
But haven't there been other people elected to the county legislature who were Independence Party people?
Well, in our system of government, you could be a Democrat supported by the Independence Party and supported by the Republican Party or supported by whatever party wants to endorse you. So you actually can win with all of the endorsements, but I don't think anybody's ever won.
I thought there was an Independence Party person.
No.
Who was from Cohoes who won.
No, I was the only one.
As you sit up on the rostrum and you look at the sides, I want to tell the audience that it's not a Democrat-Republican split on the aisle. It's Democrats and Republicans sit next to each other.
It's all mixed up by district.
And it's all, it's all in order of district number that they have. So there are 39 legislative districts, and you start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row, 4 on each side, and the cards fall where they may with whatever party you happen to be with.
Right.
So, do you, when you're looking at the 39, and you're included in the 39?
I'm in the 17th district.
You're
After
the 17th.
redistricting, as you know, we redistrict the legislature. I went from the 18th to the 17th.
Right.
So I am part of the
so do you vote as
I
chair?
do. Yes,
you
I
do have a vote,
I do.
Because the president of the Common Council doesn't have a vote unless it's a tie.
In the county legislature, I have my vote to represent my people.
Okay. So do you see factions in the, aside from Republican, Democrat, among the Democrats, because there's 10 Republicans and 29 Democrats.
Yeah.
Do you see the 29 Democrats having sort of like maybe a younger group here, or an ethnic group here, or something like that?
I see different groups of people as it relates to certain issues. Certainly you do. Look, we're a pluralist society. We have a pluralist legislature where, something may be important to this group of people that may not be so important to this group. And so you do see the pockets. But at the end of the day, what you try to do is find, common ground amongst the Democrats so that we can, shape the consensus of how we want to go and then move there together. So although there may be some different factions, I think we're a pretty strong
No, but you do see that,
absolutely.
I mean, generally speaking, you do see some people who, now I'm not going to mention names because it's not polite, but that you might want to see, you prefer to see change in a certain district here or there. Your life would be, and that's happened already in a couple of districts where your life is easier because this person isn't there and isn't making...
I can't criticize people who are the same as I, which is outspoken and are willing to fight for what they believe. So I've never been disappointed when somebody doesn't want to support something that I may want to support. I may try to, talk to them and say, look, this is why it's important to us as a whole. And if they say to me, Shawn, you know what, I just can't support that, I have no problem with that. I think people need to be independent and be able to fight for what's important for them and their constituents.
What's the difference between your role and the majority leader, who's Frank Commisso, and his role as majority leader? What's the difference?
Frank is the majority leader, and he's elected by the majority of the Democrats. So he's really the leader of our Democratic caucus, and he's got a powerful position.
So are you like the equivalent of the Speaker of the Assembly, and then Ron Canestrari was the majority leader?
Well,
and then
technically, my job is to be the presiding officer over the whole entire county ledge meeting, and so technically, Frank is really the leader of one group, and I'm responsible to oversee the whole legislature, which does include Republicans. So I run the meetings, I preside over the meetings, I help shape the agendas. I appoint the chair people to all of our committees.
Okay, so you do that,
right?
Not the. Did you ever appoint a Republican to chair a committee like they do in the state Senate?
No, I've never done that.
Oh, okay, because they appoint Democrats now to chairmanships in the state Republican-led state Senate.
Yeah,
so,
well, certainly. There's a different philosophy between the Republicans and Democrats, and I haven't really found a Republican that I share that much with in regards to, some of the public policies. So at this point, I've appointed Democrats to those positions.
What do you see the difference in philosophy? Because I haven't been able to find it on a local level. I still think people on a local level, want the same things. They all want paved roads. They all want good schools. They all want good ethics. They all want the good environment, a clean environment. So I just don't see where the differences are. Maybe the means to the end.
Well, look, I think the differences are that in the legislature anyway, there's a strong opinion by the Republicans that that everything should, at least in my view, be geared towards business and corporations and when we're looking at issues like we just had an issue where Legislator Clenahan presented a resolution that would stop the use of hydrofracking byproducts to be used as like snow removal to spray around our streets. I thought that was incredibly important to do that. I mean, we don't even know what these things are. I'm not saying I'm for or against fracking. I'm saying that if you don't know enough about what it is they're going to spray on your street or your kids are going to trounce through it, you should at least stop it and look at it and then come back and revisit it. And the Republicans took a strong stance that we shouldn't do that until we see how it's going to affect the cost of municipalities, and it could be a cheaper way to melt the ice, and right there's a different philosophy, because I can't look at everything in just dollars. Okay, maybe it's $2 cheaper, but what's the long-term price to my kids or the kids in my community when you go through the parks and you spray it on the the roads and it lands on the sidewalks and then they're playing in the grass? And so just there, it's kind of like I'm looking out for the people in general, and they were concerned about the cost and how much it would save if, in fact, we use those type of chemicals. So that's just one example of a fundamental difference that I have with...
as you know, maybe you don't, but I think you do. From 97 to 99, I was the executive director of the Albany County Republican Committee.
Yeah.
And I asked, when I got there, I said to the chairman, George Scaringe at the time, when we were doing the ad journal for the big dinner, I said, well, we should have a page of what our mantra is. Why should people be contributing? What do we tell them? What is our philosophy?
Yeah.
We don't have one, because whatever you have as a philosophy is going to, ostracize some people.
You're going to offend some
people.
people.
Offend some people. So he said, go to the state committee. So I went to the state Republican committee, and we're like, well, we don't have one.
Yeah.
Go to the national. And the national is so much different than New York State or Albany County. You don't, it's different. It's just so you don't use that one. So we never really, at the Albany County Republican meeting, we never had a philosophy.
Well,
so
you certainly have to stand for something, don't you?
You do, right?
And,
but I still raised a lot of money, even though they...
Well, now I know why you beat me up so much, now that I know that you're a part of the Republican Party.
No, I'm a blank. But
look, the reality is this. There's fundamental differences, I think, in people in general. And until I find a person who's a Republican that shares many, not all, you're never going to agree with everybody,
no,
but the
true.
balance can't be, this way or this way. It's got to be somewhere here.
Yeah.
I haven't found anybody that I would be willing to put in as any chairs of any of our committees.
Because they might not be loyal to you? Or
Well, it's, again, it's not necessarily
Not
being
loyal.
loyal. I don't have a problem when people disagree with me, because I disagree. I don't have a problem when people
Right.
are outspoken against me, because I'm outspoken when I think things are wrong. I just have a problem with, again, the fundamental difference. I believe that we need to help people who are struggling in life, and that I tend to believe...
So, for example, if this bill you were mentioning about the fracking byproducts,
Yeah.
If that bill had to come out of an environmental committee, let's say, and there was a Republican in charge of that, you think that Republican chairman would have held it up in committee and not let it out to the floor?
I don't think it would have got out, or we would have had to go through the whole process of trying to get it out. And again, I think that just hinders the whole process. If you're going to spray a chemical, when they come to my house and spray my lawn,
Right, they put
a sign there that says, "Don't let your dog out and don't let your kids play on it."
Right.
Okay? A truck comes down my street, it's throwing out all of this chemicals. I don't even know what it is. Do I want to let my kids go out there and play? And so to hold those things
I'm
up.
not debating that issue.
Yeah, right, but I'm saying to hold those things up,
Right.
I think would be bad for the public at large, and that's why
Right.
I think, at this point, I haven't found somebody, and I believe if a Republican was chairing that committee, certainly it'd have been a different view of trying to get that out and, protect our children from something that I don't even know what it is.
Right, right. What is something about your role in the county legislature that you'd want people to know about that they really don't know? Because most people do not come to a county legislature meeting.
I'll tell you
goodness
this,
for you, maybe.
I want people to know that I am an advocate for people first, and most importantly. I've spent my whole life dedicated to helping people, because I care about people. Politics, to me, is just the means to get in a position where you can help. And so I want people to know that why every politician may say, I'm not a politician. I'm a politician by title, but the way I do my political business is to put people first, and fight for what I believe, and I fight for their voice. And I'm not going to make a decision because somebody who I'm politically connected to says to me, gee, Shawn, please do this. I think they need to know that I'm independent, I'm a strong voice, I'm proud of my record of doing that, and I think they can depend on me, and I think I'm the type of person that we need in government.
What do you like to do on your spare time?
I like to spend time with my children and my wife.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
3 boys, girls?
I got 2 daughters, and I have a son who's 19.
Okay.
So when I do get a chance to be with them, that's what I want to do. And,
okay. And sports? Do you?
Yeah, well, we're big baseball fans. Like any.
Mets, Yanks?
I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a Cowboy fan. We beat the Giants the other day.
There you go.
Yeah, I've played sports my whole life. My son just graduated. Obviously, he played sports. My daughters play softball.
Football? Were you a football player?
No, you know what? When I went to school, there was no football in our school.
So what were you?
I was a baseball player.
Catcher?
I was a left fielder, believe it or not,
fielder.
and a third baseman. So
hot corner.
when they wanted a guy to have the ball hit him in the head and stop, they put me at third. If they wanted me to catch some pop flies, they put me in left field. So it was a great. I love the sport. I think all kids should participate in sports. I just think it's great. It's healthy. It's good to teach them a lot of
Maybe you should
lessons.
get a league together for
The Legislative League?
The Albany County Legislature plays the Schenectady
We'd
County
have to hit a lot of home runs because I don't think we'd hit many doubles. I don't know if we could run to the second base anymore.
Well, you know, Gil Ethia could be the manager because I don't think he'd play.
Well, like I said, he's got a lot of knowledge. He may know how to set us up for wins in the.
We do that.
He'd be calling the bunt like he does in the legislature, you know.
In the county, in the Capitol Press Corps, we play the governor's team. We have a baseball team. We play
Yeah.
the governor's team, and you know we have a fun time with that. So
Yeah, sports
All right,
are
Mark,
fun.
we're unfortunately out of
we are
time.
already. Wow.
The time goes fast when you're
Time
having a
goes-
good time. So I thank Mark Rorich and also
Thank you.
Shawn
I
Morse,
appreciate it, Mark. Good to
who's
see
now
you.
the chairman of the Albany County Legislature. So we give our blessing that you should
Thank you.
continue to do good work for the people, and whatever your heart desires, that should be good for you also.
Thank you very much, and you too. I wish the best for you both.